Hi guys and girls, this is a video on how to sketch curves. Okay, so let's get started. The question I'm going to do is question 6. Okay, and it goes x to the 4 minus 8x to the squared plus 2. Okay, so my first job is going to be to find the turning points, and to do that I find the first derivative. Okay, so for this one, the first derivative is y dash equals 4x cubed minus 16x. Okay. So now I've got that, what I do is I start factorizing. Okay. So I set it to 0. And the first factor I'm going to take out is 4x, because there's an x in the first term, an x in the second term, 4 in the first term, 4 in the second term. So it becomes 4x outside of x squared minus 4. Okay. Now I've got that. I know that one of my turning point values is 0, because the null factor law tells me that when x is 0, 0 times 4 times whatever's in the brackets will give me 0. Okay, I also know that this is a difference of two squares problem, because it's got a first term that's a square, and a second term that's a square, and a minus in the middle. So I know that its factors are going to be x minus 2 and x plus 2. Okay, that makes my turning points the opposite signs but the same numbers. So plus 2 for the minus 2 and minus 2 for the plus 2. Okay, so I know that the graph is going to turn at those points. Okay, so now I can start drawing it. Okay, but I'm going to need y values for those points. So I just sub those into the original equation, and 0 to the power of 4 minus 8 times 0 squared plus 2. I just sub 0 into that equation, and it gives me 2. So I know it's got a turning point of 0, 2. If you sub 2 into that equation, you get y equals 2 to the 4 minus 8 times 2 squared plus 2. 2 to the 4 is 2, 4, 8, 16. Minus, and then 2 squared is 4. 4 eighths are 32, and that's a minus, plus 2. And then 16 minus 32 is minus 16 plus 2, minus 14. Then we do the same thing with minus 2. So minus 2 to the 4 is also positive 16. Minus 2 squared is also positive 4 times 8 is 32, and it's got a minus out the front. So it's minus 32, and it's also plus 2. So it's also got a value of negative 14. Okay, so with those turning points in mind, it's now time to solve for sketching the graph and showing all turning points. Okay, so I draw a plane. Okay, and I know it goes through the points 0, 2. So I put a mark at 0 across, 2 up. Then it goes through +2, -14, +2, -14, and it also goes through -2, -14. So it has a turning point, a turning point, a turning point. Okay? So those are my turning points. It's now going to help if I know maximums and minimums, so I know where the graph is coming from. Okay? So I do my table. Okay? I need something over here which tells me whether the gradient's plus or minus there, and does it come from below or above. I need a gradient here to tell me what it's doing between those 2 points. I need a gradient here to tell me what it's doing between those 2 points. And I need a gradient somewhere over there. Okay? So let's put those values into our table. I'll go x, and then the first one will be -3 to give me something, then -2, then -1, then 0, then 1, to be on the either side between 0 and 2, then 2, and then 3. Okay, because I need to know what the gradient's doing at all of these points. Okay, so looking at the gradient, -3, just subbing it in. Okay, so my gradient is, I'll use the gradient here. Okay, so -3 cubed is -27 times 4, -16 times -3. Minus times a minus will make a plus. The minus cubed will make a minus. So it's going to be 4 outside of -3 to the power of 3 minus 16 times -3. And if you calculate, okay, so that's -108 plus 16 times 3, which is going to give us a negative answer. So the gradient y dash is negative there. Notice we don't need the numbers, just the sign. This one's going to be 0, so it's got no sign. -1 into our derivative gives us -4 minus 6. -4 plus 16, so it's going to be a positive gradient. Then it's going to be 0 again. 1's going to give us 1 times 4 minus 16, so that's going to be a negative gradient. 2 is going to be 0. Then it's going to be +3 cubed times 4, which is going to be 27 times 4, or the 108 again, positive again, minus 3 times 16, which isn't going to be as big as 108, so it's going to be a positive gradient. Okay, and now I've got that table filled out. Should probably move it away from where I'm going to draw. Okay, but now that I've got it filled out, I can draw impression of where the line's going to go. So the gradient's negative, it comes from above, and then it hits the point 2 minus 15. Okay, then it stops, then it's got a positive gradient again, up to 2, then it stops, then it's got a negative gradient, then it stops, then it's got a positive gradient again. Okay, now doing the calculations to find zeros against the curve is beyond this course. Okay, and notice that we weren't asked to sketch using zeros or places where it crosses the vertical or horizontal axis. We were asked to do it with turning points, which is what we've done. Okay, that's an involved question. So on tests, you'll probably get a lot of marks for it. So just follow the procedure with the understanding that your first job is to find the derivative, and then your next job is to use the derivative function to find gradients at certain points, so you can draw a picture of what the line looks like. Bye.